Welcome to the Alpha Pickleball Podcast, where we slice through the noise to bring you the juiciest insights, strategies, and stories from the dynamic world of pickleball. Join us as we serve up engaging conversations with top players, coaches, and enthusiasts, giving you an ace perspective on all things pickleball. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just stepping onto the court, get ready for a volley of knowledge that'll elevate your game to alpha levels. Let the rallies begin.
Oh, yeah. Welcome again to the show. I'm your host, Tats. Today's guest is Jay Devilliers, pro pickleball player. You play tons of other sports. Thank you for coming on the show.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, perfect. Just quick, I know you played, high-level tennis. How'd you discover pickleball?
I discovered pickleball in 2019. Kind of out of the blue. I mean, you had Lucy Kovalova that played at Wichita State, playing pickleball at that time. So I knew what was pickleball, but I didn't really play that much. But then I took a director position at Chicken N Pickle, so which led me to kind of know more about pickleball and start playing more. And yeah, from there, I just got the bug kind of, and never stopped playing, and kind of stopped playing tennis because of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, right now there's a lot more videos and resources out there. How did you learn initially?
The learning curve was more like go on tournament, get your butt kicked, and learn from that. Like try to not repeat the same mistakes. Try to copy what the best players do, and put your own personality as well in play, and try to find what works for you and what you can implement in your game that would lead you to victory. So at the beginning, when I started playing, I played with a good friend of mine, but I play still now, Patrick Smith, and we just went on tournament and tried to play our best, and pray for the best at times, and then from there we would come back home and just try to get better every tournament.
Yeah, I mean, who are the players you're looking at, sort of copying and sort of trying to figure out what is now become your own game?
Yeah, no, I mean, we could see different style at the time. It was uh, a little bit different than today just because of the paddle technology, I would say. But you had Matt Wright that is in Wichita, and obviously Lucy that were doing really well. And Matt had a very high third shot drop percentage. So that was something that I felt was really important if you wanted to win points. Ben Jones had a very good game at the kitchen line, especially in singles at the time for the cat and mouse. So I was looking at that. Frank Anthony Davis was really good at the cat and mouse as well. In mixed, obviously Simone and Ben were very dominant when I started playing. So on the mixed double side, I was kind of looking at pattern that Simone was doing. So kind of looking at the top players and try to pick their brain a little bit at times, like and see if I could execute the same way. There were not that much drive and crash. No one had really a big serve except Morgan Evans that had that spinny serve at the time. But yeah, no, it was completely different than what it is today, uh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, how's your game evolved?
It has changed a lot for sure. Like I mean, the hardest thing for me was to change my grip from tennis to pickleball, because again, at the time the paddle technology didn't have that much grit, and you could not generate as much topspin as today. So changing the grip was the hardest thing for me. And then now we changed back kind of to what was my tennis grip, because now you can put that much topspin. So yeah, I mean, like the process of always evolving with the game, and seeing like what new players do. There is more power as well, quicker hands. So yeah, every time it's a process, and I try to stay up to date and improve with it as much as possible.
Yeah, for sure. What was your tennis grip? Like an Eastern forehand?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, not like not too bad, like not too extreme, but more extreme than certain players for sure. And yeah, I feel like pickleball, you could not have that kind of grip. The only player I knew that had that grip was Riley Newman at the time, and he's because he was doing the pancake motion more than a forehand itself. So when I tried that and I was like, this is not gonna work for me. I will have to reinvent myself on that. And then, I actually went to a uniform grip where you had only one grip for forehand and backhand, and which I still do most of the time at the net. But yeah, no, all this has changed a lot because now when you're at the best line, you can hit the ball like almost like tennis. It feels like at times. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I watched footage of you, hitting a one hand and then, a few points later hitting a two hand. What are the thought processes there?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, one thing that was really hard, like for me, I'm coming from tennis, so again, I had a two-hander. And the left hand was really involved to create top spin, mostly in tennis, and so in pickleball it was bothering me because I was putting a lot of top spin and the ball was not gripping, so it was going bottom of the net all the time. I looked pretty bad, so kind of started like doing that one hand backhand thing and felt pretty good with it, and it became a weapon at the time. And now with the paddle technology nowadays, like the ball is going faster, it's bouncing more, it's rotating more, there's more RPM, so it's harder to do one hand, just like in tennis. Like it makes it more tricky. So I mix in the two handers so I can use my left hand to get better angle. I'm not the best at it, but I'm practicing. I look a lot like I tried to look at Connor Garnett and Jaume, like that have really good backhands like that. Try to copy their style a little bit to see if I can again like pick a little bit from them so I can make my game better.
Yeah, you mentioned drive and crash.
Yeah.
And so we see that so much. I saw a video of you were playing with against Alsham and Kwan, which they're all over that
Mhm.
stuff. I mean, what are the keys in your mind to the drive and crash?
First of all, a good drive, like you need to have a good drive in order to crash because if your drive is a little bit high, your partner has no chance to crash or you can't even crash it yourself. So yeah, like the first ball is loading your feet, preparing yourself pretty well, and then executing the shot. So again, like Juan and Christian is a good example. I feel like in Bristol when they won that title and beat us in semifinal, I feel like they did a great job at that. They were both good drivers and they play pretty big. If you drive well, most likely, and the ball is dipping, most likely the volley of your opponents is gonna be coming up, and then that leads for the other person, your the other player at the net to have an easier volley. So again, like Kwon is one of the best in the business in terms of driving. I Christian is really good as well. So yeah, I feel like that play works very well when you execute very well. Can you play like that all day long? I don't know. Like you need to have a little bit of mix, but if you can do it all the time and you execute well, then it's a winning pattern. And we have seen the Kwon Duong effect a little bit against certain team where he's beating really good teams because of that. So.
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of placement, you mentioned spin dipping. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? Should we be hitting into a backhand? Should we move it around a little bit near the middle? What are your thoughts around placement of the drive?
I think the placement is not relevant necessarily in my opinion, just because if you go to a specific target, it might work against certain players, but it might not work against the others. So it's more playing against who is your opponent on the given day. Like there are things that might work against a certain player that won't work against another. So you got to figure out patterns. So the placement then will come into the strategy. Like if you think your opponent is weaker on the backhand side, then yes, of course you should be driving maybe towards that backhand at the feet and things like that. But again, like it should not be. A lot of time I see a lot of teaching where it's all about you should hit there and there and there. There are some basics that are true to that, but there are also the biggest issue that play your opponents. You want to maximize your strength, isolate your weakness, and find their weakness. So a lot of times you can see like the top player, what they do very well, they start reading patterns and then they know and they can counter you. I feel like that's where the chess game come in place a little bit. But that's why you have a lot of times the same team that wins for a long time, because they're first obviously very talented, but then also they are really good at figuring out patterns of their opponent as well. And so yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how would you describe your style? I mean, I noticed that you've used your feet to attack quite a bit, cutting off angles with Ernie's and stuff like that. But how would you describe your style of play?
Well, I tried to be as aggressive as I can and using the my length. Again, like the better player usually are very good at taking the ball out of the air and being very aggressive. Either they're very quick hands or counter very well. So again, like I tried to always evolve my game. For a long time, I was trying to become more patient, think longer, because I felt that was needed for me in order uh, to play at the top level and beat the top teams back in 2021, 2022. Then 2023, 2024, everything shifted towards faster, quicker hands. So again, like my style right now, I'm trying to have faster hands all the time and being more aggressive, pulling the trigger a little bit more often than I should at times, but it's also because I want to be able to keep evolving and getting better like that.
Got it. So, not as much dinking. You still need the ability to dink, but obviously looking for attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, again, like back in the days, I love to say it like this, like it makes me feel a little bit old, but we could not speed when the ball was low because, again, if you were going to speed from low, the ball was going to fly high and they were going to counter you. Now you have that ability to create top spin and still you be aggressive without being in difficulty or in a weak spot comparing to before. So now you can create more and create more offense from lower points. Some players have very good dink and still get attack. Where before, if you had a really good dink, you would neutralize your opponents. And so that's why that was kind of my purpose, like being as steady as possible, not give any opportunity to my opponent. And then again, when the carbon technology came in place, that kind of disrupted that mindset for me at least, and I had to kind of evolve in a different way.
Got it. So basically, nothing is safe. Anything that crosses over the net is likely attackable, even if it's a half accurate.
Every ball is attackable in my opinion. You can attack from any point. It's just again knowing if your opponent is ready. So obviously, if you attack from too low and your opponent is ready, you're still gonna hit it. But if you feel like their paddle is at the wrong position or you're reading them and things like, you can attack from anywhere. Where back then it was more a game of patience and waiting for the right opportunity and things like that. Now
Yeah.
you see a lot of players getting away with bad shot selection. Sorry. Um, but still are okay because they have very good hands to clean up their mistake, kind of. Where
Yeah.
before it was not possible almost.
Yeah, I think when I see good players or play against good players, it almost like feels like they're very, very much aware where, the other two players on the other side are at all times, and they
Hmm.
can sense those things. So there's no thought on the swing or anything. It's just they're just observing and being able to capitalize on that. Is that the case? Is that, from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every play, some players have better awareness of that than others for sure. But like again, once you play at the high level like this, and you have like every team that are in quarterfinals of a tournament, usually they're here for a reason, right? They're playing with a purpose. They're here to win, and their awareness of where their opponent is, and maybe the strategy they have in place. They know what they're gonna do, how to counter, how to, like be ready for everything. So I do believe that most teams nowadays do their homeworks way more than back then as well, because you didn't have access to as much viewing as today. Like not all matches were streamed as it is today. And so again, like you see a lot of players now watching videos, reviewing the things, why they're losing, why they're winning, what other teams do well. So there's a study that has been like pushing the game forward because of that as well. I do believe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what are your thoughts on like long-term partnerships or versus changing it up so people you can't they can't know what you're going to do?
Yeah, no, I mean that's a great question. Like I feel like I I've built my career playing a long-term relationship, at least fairly long. Like played a lot with Patrick Smith, then I played with Tyson, then I played with DJ, went back with Pat again. But like the idea for me is like playing with the same players so we can build on, because again, one tournament cannot really say how good you are, because you could have a great result or a bad result, but on the given day, again, any team can beat any team. I do believe that. So if you're playing for the first time, you're you don't necessarily know your partner very well yet. I think it takes 2 or 3 tournaments for you to, know what they do very well, what you do well for them, and work the chemistry together. So I do believe that having longer partnership helps building chemistry, but it also can become destructive as well. So it's finding that fine line. Um, but yeah, I feel like nowadays, like everyone changes, and it's just like all over the place a little bit, which makes it more exciting for viewership, in my opinion, but also makes it tougher to have consistent results as well. So yeah, I do think there's some pros and cons for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how do you see the game evolving? Thinking from the pro level or to the advanced level, let's say 5.0 plus, what are the certain things that, yeah, you think that, you're going to have in place to be competitive long term?
I think quick hands. It's almost a must. Before you didn't necessarily have you didn't need to have very fast hands. You needed to be smart, have the right strategy. Now, even though you have the right strategy and everything, if you don't have quick hands, the player will outpower you. They will just come at you really hot. So you need to have a combination of both, in my opinion, unless they start slowing down the paddle process again and makes the game a little bit slower. But at the speed it's going, you're standing 7 feet from the kitchen to the net, and same on the other side. So 14 feet away with the reach, it's probably like 10 feet away pretty much. So it's going super fast. If you don't have quick hands, you're going to be blown out. So I do believe that the hands are the first, then the mindset, your mind is so important, because if you're not prepared and you're not ready to compete at the highest, again, it can be overwhelming for a lot of players. So that would come second, and then third, it would be technique. Again, like we have seen it, like so many players don't necessarily have the greatest technique, but still get away with it because they have the consistency and the ability to fight and compete well. So yeah, I think hands and mindset are really important for the future right now.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. In terms of the training, like and I know you've had some injuries as well. I mean, what
Mhm.
factors into your thing on what type of training do you do, and what sort of things do you do to make sure you don't get injured preventatively or whatnot?
Yeah, no, I did get injured quite a lot this year. This was my worst pickleball season, kind of, in terms of injury. I was out a lot after both times in Atlanta. I got big injuries. First, I sprained my ankle, and then second, my knee was. I had to go through surgery. So yeah, it wasn't fun. But basically, the idea for my training is very similar to what I used to do in tennis. Copied a lot of the things that I was doing. Working a lot more on explosiveness than I used to do in tennis, because again the court is smaller, so you have to be, it's lateral movement similar, but like you have to be quicker for shorter distance than tennis is longer distance. So this has been a big priority for me in order to improve my single game. And then for doubles and mix, it's a lot like repetition of moving laterally and consistency, so a lot of drilling for that. Not as much of playing, but more drilling, and maybe playing like one and one, like some competitive games as well to make it more fun and not as boring, but really a lot more strategic on certain shots as well, and improving my weaknesses and isolating them as well, and maximizing my strength. Those are kind of the main focus for me on my training. And then regarding like preventing injuries, I'm lucky that I have good sponsors that help me with this. Like Leo River does compression shorts and sleeves. I have also Beamer that helped a lot for um, the blood flow and sleeping better and things like this. I have a sauna. I have an ice bath as well, and all these things is just like so important and are kind of on my routine list now. And I have a lot of hyper-ice product as well, so, like the recovery boots, the foam rollers, the ball foam roller as well. Like I have kind of all the things to try to stay as healthy as possible, because I do believe if I want to be able to compete for a long time, I need to be fit. So yeah, it's been a big priority for me.
Yeah, for sure. Now you're involved in some team ownership, and I love the team format in
Mhm.
pickleball. How do you think that's going to evolve going forward?
I'm not sure how it's going to evolve. It's really hard to tell. I mean, again, like just seeing how pickleball has evolved in the last 5 years have been like more than I have ever imagined. So I hope for the team event it will be the same. It's going to be even bigger and bigger. I'm personally a big fan of team event. Whether uh, MLP or CNPL in Canada. I love MLP. I do believe that MLP was more fun before because there were less event than today. Again, this is more about what the fans prefer. For me personally, I feel like the the team aspect was so special because it was not all the time. It was like happening certain time of the year, and you knew that this was like your moment to shine with your team as a united. Like it was like this is big. This is what you're fighting for. Than more like a league than what it is now. But again, I do believe it brings something different to the sport and makes it more entertaining as well. But again, probably the numbers will tell us in the future if it's still viable or if it's killing it, and you will see more of it every year.
Sure. I mean, it's got that sort of college tennis kind of feel, right? Where you're just
Yeah, yeah.
rooting each other on and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you're playing with usually playing with partners that you have not necessarily played before as well. So it's like, wow, I'm playing with another good player, but I've never played. So are we going to be good? Are we not going to be good? Like, you have that aspect that makes it more, exciting as well. And I feel that's what you saw like on the final when you look at the Dallas versus the Fives on MLP, for instance. You could see like the excitement on the bench. Everyone was pumped. Like it's fun. It's a different vibe than the PPA tour. But again, I do like the PPA tour for the fact that you focus on you're professional. It's a different vibe. So again, both could work together. It's just again we'll see what the future uh, tells us on which way we're gonna lean more, if it's more team or individual.
Yeah, the community will tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned, when you're playing someone new, you don't know. I mean, what sort of tips do you have for the average rec player or even competitive rec player? If you're playing with someone new, maybe you're in a team format, or you lost your partner and you're going into a weekend with someone else. What sort of discussions or strategies or anything can you have to sort of try to work together better?
Yeah, no, I like that question. I mean, my last tournament in Milwaukee was last second, so I played with two players that I had never played before. So I was very excited about, just competing with them. So again, it was the expectation for me where, just give your best, try to figure things out quickly as possible, because again, when you go on a blind date like that, like, you don't know what they are really good at. You might have seen it a little bit, but you gotta kind of learn while playing and communicate. So I do believe communication, positive communication between each other is always important. I always tell myself like they don't miss on purpose, like because a lot of times it's easier for any players to be more frustrated about the unforced of your partner rather than your own unforced. So I always keep that in mind, like they're here to win with me. We're trying to figure a way to win. Again, whether I'm missing or my partner is missing, we're not here to lose. So we're trying our best. And again, like if I'm a good partner, I'm going to try to find solution. If I'm a bad partner, I'm just going to be like rolling my eyes and be like, what is going on, kind of. So this is one big advice I give to all the players that I go across, is just like stay positive, find ways to win, and try to work things together and communicate. And again, if it doesn't go well, then maybe don't play ever again with that person. But at least try your best on the given moment, because that's what you got, and you got to be there on that given day. So fight and try your hardest.
Yeah, it makes sense. The attitude is the most important thing, I guess.
For sure. For sure. Because again, like you see it a lot in MLP, like underdog team or things like this, different format that thrive because of that, and the team that you can see like is the team that were in the final, they were high energy. And in my opinion, there is a big reason why, Matt Wright is another player that I really enjoy watching for that reason. She always brings very good vibe on court on the MLP team. So Zane has been the same, an amazing player in MLP just because of that. So I feel like when you have good vibe like that, good energy, and it's contagious almost. Like, all the teams overplay at times. So yeah, whether it's your partner or anyone, always think of being over positive at times.
Yeah, perfect. I love that advice. Is there anything that I haven't asked you but you wanted to share?
I don't think so. Again, it's sharing the love of pickleball. It's another beautiful day on Thanksgiving too. So happy Thanksgiving to you, and more pickleball to come.
Perfect.
Thanks for tuning in to the Alpha Pickleball Podcast with Tats. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, rate, and connect with us on social media. Stay alpha on the pickleball court. Until our next session.